Okay, so does anyone have any questions for us at this particular moment? I see Leon is typing, so I will see what you are saying. I just want to, in the meanwhile, stop the transcription and just have a recording. There we go. I think while Leon is typing, I'm going to switch off my camera because I know that it takes up some bandwidth sometimes. I think what I can, in the meanwhile, just ask you to pay attention to, and I did mention that in the assignment 1 video that is on my UNISA, is that you should please take into account the mark allocation. So you will see that you need to write enough information to justify the marks that we have allocated for each question. So for example, for your introduction, yes, there's very few marks allocated to that. And I do ask you to provide a very brief overview of not only the assignment, but also of the particular conflict. So you will need to write there at least half a page, I would say. I think that is a good rule of thumb for that particular introduction. Your conclusion, on the other hand, doesn't need to be longer than a third of a page. So I think that is generally sort of a good idea for you in terms of how to play around with the marks. So yes, this is an essay question, and I think it bears repeating that we allow you to sort of use your own prerogative. If you want to use the numbering that we have provided for you, please do. So 1, introduction, 2, that second question, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is, you can use that numbering, then it must just also, you must make sure that that reflects in your table of contents. So you will have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then on the other hand, if you just want to write a traditional essay, you're more than welcome to as well. And then your table of contents will obviously be much shorter. But yes, it is an essay. I don't like to prescribe well, you're asking for a minimum number of pages. So once again, as I said, take into account the mark allocation. So for example, when we get to that big section of your essay, where you need to look either at framing or disinformation, misinformation, that will be at least, because it is, let me just scroll to there. So that will be at least, sorry, I'm just now scrolling. So that is, yeah, that'll be at least 2 pages that you are going to write for that, because it's 50 marks. Generally, I would say you will write about 15, 10, yeah, for that particular question, you will need to write at least 2 pages. So 2 pages, your introduction and conclusion will be another 3/4 of a page, and then you have the other section. So for example, the question where you need to discuss any 2 theories, that will be another page at least. So it's very difficult for me to say, yes, there's a minimum page amount and there's a maximum page amount. You need to take into account the mark allocation and then judge the mark allocation to make sure that you are writing enough. So I hope that answers your question, Leon. So yes, I can't necessarily say that there's a minimum number of pages, but yes, you will have at least, I would say, 6 to 7 written pages for this assignment. I don't like to put a word count minimum as well. Students are sometimes extremely eloquent and include very interesting things. At the same time, I do want to warn against including unnecessary information. So yes, you have a lot of articles to read, but you will see that you'll very clearly see what is relevant to each particular question. So, and that is also expected from you at a third year level, especially if you're also thinking of going into postgraduate studies. You will need to be able to discern what information is relevant and then be able to take that information, show us that you understand it, show us your own interpretation, and put it in your own words as you relate it to the relevant theory. I think that's also quite an important point that needs to be made. Okay, so any other questions at this moment? You can put up your hand and switch on your mic if you want to ask a question. Otherwise, as Leon has done, you can type it for me in the meeting chat. I want to also once again reiterate, please be aware of the fact that you are not allowed to use generative AI to answer your assignment. You are more than welcome to use AI to assist you in the writing process. So in terms of a grammar check and a language check, that is fine. We will introduce and we will post that at some point. You will see the department's policy on the use of AI and how you need to reference if you have used AI, for example, to assist you in a grammar check or in a language check. That also needs to be referenced in your table of contents. And I will just make doubly sure and see if we've got that policy yet, but then I will post it on my UNISA for you as well. I see I had a hand and now the hand has disappeared. I'm sure that they will join again. And I see that Molly is typing. So I will, in the meanwhile, yes, just want to reiterate that please do not use AI. I saw the day that the assignment opened. I think that was around 9 o'clock in the morning. Nontimba, I'm going to let you ask your question now. I just want to relay this story. On the morning that that assignment opened, I went onto my UNISA and um, there was already a submission, and it was an hour after the assignment opened, and there is no possible way to have done all the prescribed reading, etc., etc., in an hour. And I immediately saw that the student used AI word for word. So yes, that was quite interesting. So yes, please don't do that. That student, I've contacted that student, said that this is completely unacceptable, and the student will receive an immediate 0 for that submission. Okay, is it a must to attach an image on number 6? It doesn't need to be an image. Ideally, and we do take this into account in our memorandum for the for that we've sent out to our markers, is that you will be able to find, for example, an article that deals with the conflict. Then you can include that article, a screenshot of the article as an addenda, or you will be able to, for example, a tweet. It was Twitter still back then, that deals with this. If you want to look at misinformation and disinformation, for example. I have said that we are well aware that there are many examples in the prescribed readings that we have provided you. We are not going to penalize you if you use examples that you find in the prescribed material. Ideally, though, and for maximum marks, I would advise you to find an example that is not in some of the prescribed readings. You'll very easily be able to find, if you do a Google search, find reporting on that conflict. And then from there on, you can start looking at how, for example, a particular newspaper report framed that particular angle of the story. And then you can just copy and paste, make a screen grab, and add that as an addenda to your assignment. So I hope that explains it. And then no self-assessment, no self-reflection. That is not part of this assignment. So we do not include that in your assignment. Molly, I hope that explains it. Nontimba, you can go ahead now.
Okay. Hi, Martine. Thank you so much for this Q&A session, and also the stuff that you posted that I went through, which was actually very nice. My question then has got to do with the referencing. So you chatting in the assignment brief about in-text referencing, which is going to be in the actual assignment that we write. And then when we do the list of the sources consulted, do we then do Harvard referencing there, or do we just list the sources that have been consulted for the assignment?
Yes, so a list of reference obviously looks a bit different. So you will have you use Harvard for both your in-text referencing and your list of sources consulted. Your list of sources consulted will include in the correct way, and you can find all of that in your tutorial letter 301. And there will be, as I've mentioned, I'm uploading a class on technical presentation, so a video class on that as well. So that will be an alphabetically listed list. Where if it is an article, for example, you'll start with the author of the article, a year of publication, followed by the article's name, followed by the journal name, followed by the journal's bibliographical information. So the volume of the journal, the page numbers. We have, as far as we can, provided you with that. I provided you with that information in the list that is part of the assignment brief. You will also need to include your tutorial matter. So that includes tutorial letter 101. If you've looked at tutorial letter 101, tutorial letter 301, and your study guide, so study guide 501, and then any other external readings that you might have done. I will, as I said, I will see where we are with regards to the policy on the use of AI. But we are moving towards wanting students to then reference in the list of sources, say that I have consulted Grammarly to assist me in checking the grammar and the language of this assignment. But I will update you tomorrow. I will put an announcement up regarding that on my UNISA. We will not be as strict with that this time around. And what I mean is in terms of the referencing of a Grammarly check, for example. But yes, obviously very strict in terms of the use of generative AI to actually write your assignment. So yes, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm a bit of a broken record, but it is something that is obviously at the forefront of everyone's mind at the moment. So it bears repeating. And once again, just want to remind you of our session that we will have on the 3rd of September. That is a department-wide session where you can, which you please should attend. So I've actually got the invitation here. So let me just quickly, I'm going to just quickly put it in for you in the chat again, then you have that information. Is there anyone else that might have a question at this particular moment? Okay, I've put in the invitation for the AI ethical use. Just want to quickly check if it's the correct one with the right date. It should be. So there you can see the speakers that we have, and they will be speaking on, for example, ethics and Ubuntu in the age of AI. We'll be speaking about how we are using AI to teach and how you are using AI to learn. So you'll see it's going to be quite fascinating. So please do attend that session if you can. It will be recorded and it will be posted for you as well. Okay, do we have any other questions pertaining assignment 1 at this particular moment? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so I seem to have answered all the questions that have been asked of me in the chat, and then the questions raised. But yes, students, really do contact me, send me an email if you're unsure about anything. As you have seen in the announcements, there will be a second opportunity for a live Q&A session again next week on Tuesday. So if by that time there's something that you want to ask me in person, please go ahead and attend that session. Otherwise, there is the AI invitation, sorry. Otherwise, you can just drop me an email and I will get back to you. Yes, but I do want to thank you for joining me for this sort of short and sweet session. Please keep an eye out on the announcements during the course of the week. And next week, where I will be posting additional information that is relevant to assignment 1. And then I think very important, please remember that the cut-off time for this assignment is 8 a.m. in the morning. So it's not as per usual with many of your assignments, only at 11 at night. It's 8 a.m. in the morning. The reason for that is just that we need to stagger the due dates and the times, because otherwise the system gets overwhelmed. So please just make sure that you submit before 8 a.m. next Friday morning. So yes, students, thank you so much for joining me today. Please do let your fellow students know if you speak to them, if you have contact. I see there's one more person typing. Please do remind them that we will have another session next week. This recording, I will, once it has downloaded, I will upload it for you under the section on for the online classes. And then best of luck with your preparation. I'm just going to wait to see this final question, unless you just want to jump in and ask it. Okay, wonderful. Oh, thank you. That's very nice. I appreciate that. Yes, we will, and there will be some more online classes that deal specifically then with assignment 1 that will be uploaded during the course of the week. For assignment 2, there will be a online class that explains to you just how to deal with MCQs in general, and that's then relevant to assignment 2. Once again, thank you very much, students. Thank you for joining me, and I will speak maybe to you again next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.